Welcome to day 2. I'm happy that you're here. So, we're going to talk about love bombing and devaluation. If you're unaware of what that is, well, that's why I'm here to explain to you what love bombing is and what devaluation is, so you will understand what is actually happening to you. This is how I got caught up. I tell people this, but this is how I got caught up. I got caught up because of the love bombing. I had never really experienced what I'm about to teach you in this actual phase. This is the love bombing phase, and after the love bombing phase comes the evaluation phase. And it's a cycle, it goes in circles. And this is to keep you confused. This is for them to gain control. So when you're confused, you're unable to make rational decisions and logical decision and think logically instead of thinking with your heart and your emotions. You're just all over the place because with the love bombing, you feel like this is the person for you. And then with the devaluation, you're like, ain't no way on God's green earth this is for me. And then they go back to the love bombing, and then you're like back and forth, like, what is happening? So you're thinking with your emotions instead of really realizing that this person is manipulating you and they're love bombing you and they're confusing you and they're getting you to a place where you can't make rational decisions. You make irrational decisions. Identifying love bombing and devaluation from a narcissist involves recognizing the extreme fluctuation. Remember, I say go back and forth, right? The extreme fluctuation in their behavior and how they use these tactics to control and manipulate their target. Here are the key indications of both love bombing and devaluation. So we're going to talk about love bombing first. Love bombing is the initial phase where the narcissist overwhelms their target with excessive affection, attention, and admiration to gain control and trust. Number 1, intense flattery. They use intense flattery. They shower you with excessive compliments and praise, making you feel extraordinarily special. Like, this is the person for me. This is my person, you know? Number 2, consistent communication. Yes, remember I said this is how I got it right here. It's constantly calling me, you know? Consistent communication. They bombard you with text messages, calls, and any other message that they can try to get through to you, often from the morning until night. That means when you first wake up, good morning, beautiful. Hope you have a great day today. I love you. Those type of things. And then they call you, hey, how your day going? What's up? What's going on with you? And you're like, you all excited because you'll be looking forward to that. Especially if you haven't had that in a while or you never had it at all. Yes. And then the nighttime come and they're like, so what are you going to do today? And you're talking, and y'all just talking for hours all day long, and you're so happy and you're feeling jolly. You got that glow going on with you. And here it is midnight and you still talking. And you're like, I got to get some sleep. I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, oh, man, I really don't want to let you go. But okay, that's fine. And then they let you go. Okay, that's fine, But we're going to get into that too, a little deeper into that. Because the minute that you don't have that kind of time to stay on the phone all day long, or you don't return a text message right away, you start seeing the real them come out. It's like day and night. They all happy when they hear from you. The minute they don't hear from you, they will switch just like that. And then, so I haven't heard from you today. What's going on? Are you with somebody? Why you haven't answered my call? Why you not returning my text? Why it took you 2 hours to respond back? Pay close attention to that switch, okay? Because that will let you know that you're being love bombed right there. And if you are, you need to cut him off or her off as quickly as possible. Number 3, lavish gifts. They give you expensive or extraordinary gifts early in the relationship. That's if they got money to do it. Sometimes they might not have any money and they can't do it, but they try to do what they can. Number 4, rapid commitment. They push for rapid progression in the relationship, such as moving in together or discussing marriage very early on. I understand that you might want to get married, and especially if you told that to them, like, look, I'm not looking for a boyfriend, I'm looking for a husband, I'm ready to be a wife or whatever. Or, you're a guy, you're like, look, I'm not looking to be your boyfriend, I'm looking for a wife. You really gotta be careful, okay? Because that is ammunition for them to use on you. They start pushing and pushing and pushing. When you gonna marry me? When we gonna get married? That's usually women do that part. The men, hey, I want to get married today. Marry me now. And you're like, what? You didn't even really propose. What's this about? I mean, what a ring at, Or he got the ring and you're like, dang, did you have that ring already? Where you get this ring from? Is it your mama's ring or something? Your grandmother's ring? What is going on? You have to be real cautious with that too. Everything I'm telling you about, you must be cautious, okay? Moving in together. It'll be so wise for you not to move in with whoever you get with the very first year of your relationship. Let that very first year of your relationship be living in separate homes, because you will get an opportunity to see all 4 seasons of them. I talked about 4 seasons with somebody a while back. It wasn't that long ago, but I talked about 4 seasons, and I would discuss what are the 4 seasons. Number 1, you want to know what they're like in the summertime, winter. I'm not talking about the actual summertime. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the season when they're mad. That's considered summertime. How are their behavior when they're upset, angry, when they're mad? How do they handle that? The other season, you want to know about the spring. The spring is when everything is all good. They're actually happy. They're in that love bombing phase, okay? But not everybody are love bombing. So you want to know what they're like even in the springtime. You want to know about the winter. The winter is when they're sad, when they're vulnerable, when they're opening up to you and showing their vulnerability. Maybe they lost somebody in the family and they're sad or whatever. You want to see how they deal with that kind of stuff. How do they deal with things not going their way? Pressure or whatever. And you want to know how they deal with pressure. And then you have the fall. Fall is when things are just slow. There's not a whole lot going on. It's just normal, regular, just tempo, kind of like laid back. You falling back, just, in the chill mode. You want to know what that's like too, because usually narcissists don't know how to just relax and chill and not always have something going on. So you want to see what they're like in all 4 seasons. And you normally would get that within a year. You will be able to see what is really happening with them in that year time. So it is so great to not live together. Avoid living together. As much as you can, avoid it. If that person is pressuring you into moving in with them, you are being love bombed. So they should not pressure you. They might come up with all kinds of stories and say, oh, my lease is up. Instead of me renewing the lease, we can share one lease, one rent. I can pay this bill and we can save money. They would make it sound real awesome to you. But you're doing well without them in your home and without you living in their home. So continue to keep it going that way, because it makes it so much easier for you to break it off with them if they're not living in your house or you're not living in their house. It becomes really difficult when you're living together. I'm going to talk about gray rock later in the course, and I'm gonna teach you how to deal with that as well when you're living with somebody, how that works when you're living with the narcissist. You also have idealization. So they idealize you, placing you on a pedestal and treating you as if you can do no wrong. And then number 7, over the top gestures. They engage in grand romantic gestures. Like they might do something real nice for you, such as like get a nice have a real nice romantic evening with you. And I'm telling you, that kind of stuff can get you hooked, especially if you love to be romanced. They can hook you with that. So just take it as a grain of salt. When they do that, enjoy it, appreciate it, but don't be overwhelmed by it, okay? And they will often do grand gestures in public just so they can show more affection to you, so you can feel like, oh, I got a man, I got somebody, you know. So now let's talk about devaluation. So devaluation is the phase where the narcissist begin to undermine and criticize their target, reversing their previous affectionate behavior. Number 1, criticism and insult. Yes. They start to criticize you, often suddenly at first. It ain't just bam, but it still hurts. You know, you recognize it when it happened because it wasn't doing that at first. But increasingly, heavily over time, it gets worse. It's like their mouth and their words, it's like cutting you like a butter knife at first. Like it's dull, but you notice it. Then all of a sudden it turns into a steak knife, and you're like, ooh, that hurts. And then it turned into a butcher knife, and you're like, oh my God, he just stabbed me. And then it turned into a sword. See how it just constantly kept going and getting worse and worse and worse. Number 2, withdrawal of affection. They suddenly become cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. Number 3, blame and shaming. They blame you for problems in the relationship and make you feel ashamed of your actions or feelings, like you did them wrong. Number 4, gaslighting. They distort reality, which we already talked about gaslighting and what that is, making you doubt your own perception and memory. Number 5, triangulation. They compare you unfavorable to others, such as making you feel inadequate or jealous. So they want to bring that kind of emotion out of you. That's that part of controlling you. They can bring that emotion out of you. They can control you. And then number 6 is passive aggressive. They use indirect form of hostility, such as the silent treatment, or they do backhanded compliments like, you ain't all that. You think you all that. You're really not. You know, yeah. Yeah. Then you have number 7, which is manipulation behavior. They engage in behavior designed to provoke you. So they want to get a reaction out of you. They want to get you upset, or they want to make you cry. They want to get some type of emotion, okay? Manipulation, they want to manipulate your emotion, and that's their way of controlling you. That's their way to control your actions and get you to respond the way they want you to respond. So recognizing the pattern, number 1, you want to pay attention to the shift, how they suddenly just change on you. Pay attention to that. So If they all of a sudden, like I said, they're doing the love bombing and then they go to devaluation, okay, that's a part of a narcissistic tactic, okay? That's how they do it. So you want to notice the dynamic, the shift, you dramatically, you want to pay attention to that, and the sudden criticism, stuff like that, indirect situation, pay attention to that. Number two, unconditional love. So their affection and approval only seems to be conditional to you, meaning that I only approve what you're doing when you're giving me what I want, the way I want it. So they want you to give them what they want, the way they want it, then that's how they say that they love you. That's how, matter of fact, narcissists don't have love. They don't know how to love. I remember my ex-husband telling me he never been in love before. And I was thinking like, but okay, we're married. You telling me that you're not in love with me? And he flat out told me, no, I'm not in love with you. And I said, wow. So now it makes sense why you can treat me like you treat me. How you can treat me so harsh and so cold. So you're basically using me. Oh, we went into a conversation when we was arguing about this. And he got to telling me some things. I mean, I still got it on video. In fact, his cousin heard the video. He was like, I cannot believe I heard that come out of his mouth. And he said, I just don't understand how he can say all that and still be living in your house. I said, oh, he ain't living in my house no more. I kicked him out. But it was just one of the things that they do. Like, the only way I can love you that you meet these conditions for me. You have to do these things the way I want it done. Then I can say I love you. Then I can be in love with you. But they never, ever would be in love with you. And they never would love you. That's all about control. They just want to control you. And then you got inconsistency. So their behavior is highly inconsistent, keeping you off balance and unsure of where you stand. Number 4, control. Both phases, the love bombing and the devaluation, are ultimately about gaining control over you. First, by making you feel dependent on their affection, then by undermining your self-esteem. That was one thing he could not do. He could not break my self-esteem because I had high self-esteem about myself. And one of the reasons why I had high self-esteem about myself because I used to model and I knew that I was beautiful, so he couldn't say I was ugly because I didn't see it when I look at myself in the mirror. And then there was another reason he couldn't mess with my self-esteem because I knew what I was worth. I knew what I had. I knew what I was capable of, and I also knew that I was blessed because I knew that every time I would pray, God would answer those prayers. And I'm like, well, shoot, I'm not the person that you're talking about or that you're calling me, because he used to call me all kinds of names. I'm like, I'm not that person. I was every B word there is. Like, every time he get mad, he would call me the female dog. And I'm like, dude, really? But I didn't like hearing it. So even though my self-esteem wasn't broken, I still had that I didn't want my marriage to fail in me. And that's what I had to get past. Once I got past that phase where I was like, you know what, forget this marriage, I'm over this, then that's when I was able to get my strength back and move on. So here are some steps that you can take when you're going through this type of things, when you're going through love bombing and devaluation. Number 1, maintain perspective. Be cautious of the relationship that moves too quickly or feel overwhelming very early. Number 2, set boundaries. Establish and maintain clear boundaries to protect your emotions and your well-being. Number 3, seek professional help. Talk to trusted friends, family, life coach, a mental health professional who can offer perspective and support. Number 4, you want to continue educating yourself. You want to make sure that you learn everything you need to know about a narcissist's behavior, so that way you won't be blindsided with the things that they do. You can recognize their tactics and understand it right away. Number 5, you want to prioritize self-care. Self-care is going to be your weapon. I'm going to tell you that. When you take care of yourself, that's your weapon against a narcissist. So focus on your own needs and self-care to build resilience against manipulation. And number 6, document their behavior. Write it down. Write it in your journal or record it. You want to keep these records. You can record it, have it on an audio record, a video record. Video record will actually help you see these crazy ways and stuff, because there was times when I would go back and look at the videos that I had of him, and I would clearly can see when the switch would happen. And I mean, I remember seeing times when I was able to be like, there it go, it's coming. Oh, there it go. He just switched on me. And it became so frequently that I can recognize it in the moment without the video and say, oh, there you go, he about to get started. There you go. So you want to definitely document these things because it'll help you stay out of the trap that they're putting you in, okay? So recognizing these behaviors can help you protect yourself from the emotional roller coaster a narcissist of their love bombing and their devaluation cycles, okay? So tomorrow is number 3, day 3. We're going to talk about the cycle of narcissistic abuse.